Hello my beautiful amazing people, badass Dark Zone agents, Uncle Butcher in the building, and today I have for you barbecue chicken dilemma proto build, and I tested ridiculous amount of synergies, and this one by far demolishes enemies quite easily. And since there are a lot of changes coming to the game, I think dilemma could be really strong in tier 5 and beyond, because a couple nasty modifiers are going away from the game, but still there are plenty of issues with escalation as it is, but some things are really welcomed to the game. For example, that as a host now you will get more tokens, because I didn't get the idea that you are getting as reward by completing escalation mission less tokens than somebody who joins you and doesn't risk anything at all as a host. So it was like, what? Also the modifiers, I think they have to rework a couple modifiers, like I said previously in other videos. I don't understand why you can be immune if you are a non-elite enemy from status effects that disables many builds. In close range you will be quite often staggered, pulsed, you're losing a lot of buffs, so a lot of builds can't really be used in escalation. But before we continue, quick word from the sponsor Gaming.net. If you don't have enough time or good teammates, but you still want to have all the best items in your game, or maybe you want something in your build like raid exclusive item, proto gear, stuff like that, then these guys can help you all, and use my promo code RBDIV to receive 15% discount on absolutely all services. It's an amazing deal, so definitely check these guys out. So the thought process behind this build is kinda easy. We need to build that can deal as much damage as possible to as many targets as possible without being too close to the enemies, and dilemma works just like that. You don't have any restrictions. You need to only one time to mark enemy with crit, and now you're gonna deal shared damage to that marked enemy. Ideal scenario. Also with reanimated event, with those headshots you can deal quite a bit of damage. Plague effect will kind of easily kill all the enemies who will reborn, and you will get tons of loot. For specialization we will use gunner to increase rate of fire, and of course armor back on kill with the dilemma that works extremely well. You're gaining quite rapidly armor back, and that's the reason why I'm not using Bloodsucker talent. Actually, I tried Clutch. Unfortunately, Clutch is still trash, and even Dilemma can't save it. I tested it with Pestilence because it has the highest rate of fire in the game, except LMGs with Frenzy talent. As a base RPM, Pesty has really high RPM. I used to use Bullet King in good old days, back in the day. Yeah, that's the saying. Back in the day I used to use Bullet King, but it received nerf. Rate of fire is really bullshit, and it has no reload, yeah, but the base damage value and RPM sucks, so Bullet King is a no-go. Blue screen exotic LMG rate of fire is not that good, and a lot of enemies on escalation, for example, are immune from status effects, which is kind of boring to me. But they are not immune from plague effect, and that's really important to understand, that this debuff is something that enemies can avoid and they don't have any protection from. So dilemma works really good, and I'm using chess piece. Crit chance, not a problem, capped out crit chance in this build, but I'm using chess piece, which of course will give me crit damage. Why I'm not using Coyote Mask? Because that will force me to use chess piece from Dilemma set, which is a no-go. I will not mark 5 enemies. I need more single target damage than like my option to mark 5 enemies. To me, that's or backpack. I understand that you will deal more damage to shared enemies, but let's be honest, not all the time you are marking 3 enemies. So So sometimes there are only 2, sometimes you're dealing damage to only 1 enemy, especially with reanimated event. That's not that important. I rather have more single target damage than shared split damage. Because most of the time, eventually you will fight rogue agent, boss, some changa, and you need that single target damage. And for the backpack, I'm using increased weapon damage, but if you want to use only LMG in this build, you can go with Petrol's backpack. And yeah, for talents, you have a couple options. In escalation, you will be really often behind the covers, so I'm using this talent right now. If you want more plage damage and weapon damage, you could go with Unstoppable Force if you want. But I think my talent is really good. You don't have to do anything, sit behind the cover, boom, you have increased weapon damage and plage damage. Vigilance, I don't know, Bloodsucker, like I said, is not needed because we are killing rapidly enemies and Gunner Specialization will heal us. Only thing you could change is the brand set. You could go for Petrol's brand to increase your LMG damage buff, but this set allows you to use maybe Lexington. It has increased magazine size, which will help you to mark multiple enemies. Excuse me, St. Elmo's and Lexington as your secondary weapon. Yeah, for pistol, Quickstep is the easy winner. Sorry, Leo. And yeah, so we have a couple options. Walking Harris is not the terrible option, but like I said, I tested multiple synergies. I tested Memento backpack, Catharsis mask, clutch talent, I tested Bloodsucker talent, and yeah, eventually I came to this setup. It will give me really good damage. For the augments, I'm using Echo. Amalgam is okay. Sometimes that status effect can be clutch. It can save your ass if applied properly. And honestly, I would use like 4 Echo and 1 Amalgam. We don't need to increase our chance to get our ammo back. We don't need chance to be immune as well. This is not a face stunning build. So Echo and 1 Amalgam I think is really strong synergy. Yeah. So for the skills I'm using Benchy Pulse, but you can replace Benchy Pulse. This is my like team scenario. In team I'm using Benchy Pulse and Reviver Hive. You can't use unfortunately Shield with LMGs. That would be also really cool change if they would add this option to use Shield. Maybe it would have less health, but yeah, what I wanted to say I forgot. Never. Yeah, Butcher drops the mic. Bye.